Good evening. So we're just, it's part of our annual catch-up with all of you. How you doing? We're going to brief you on what's happening in the neighborhood in customer service and sales and what we have planned for future growth and development. This is your neighborhood. Let me get my bearings squared away. So this is Clinton, Fowler, and Shields is up here. Taco Bell is that building there, if you guys can see it. The Canvas at Belterra. How many are living in Canvas? The Canvas collection? Okay. So this is your neighborhood. This is the current neighborhood we're building. The next track is going to be in this location, which should break ground sometime between October and December of this year. It's another 78 or 80 homes of our traditional line, like the Bella, Pasa Tiempo, that product line. And the last part of Belterra, which is this 20 acres here, we have not designed yet. But another single-family neighborhood. Oh, there we go. Cool. Correct. Right now, there's a actually open farm in here. I think this is just open land. There's a house smack in the middle of this 12-acre parcel. So this is combined about 20 acres that will be going into design sometime in the next year and probably get built about 2 years from now. This is the commercial neighborhood. Now let me see if I can, there we go, zoom in, there we go. Okay, so this is the commercial neighborhood. Again, the dollar store is here, Taco Bell, and the balance of this area is all commercial. This is zone multifamily, which should go into production or construction sometime 1 to 2 years from now. I'll show you some pictures of a product that could look like, what this product could look like. We talked about this a year ago and then about 2 years ago at the same neighborhood meeting with you guys. We're aggressively trying to get some commercial. A lot of the feedback from you over the years has been you want more retail and restaurants here. Is that still true? Yes. And we want to be able to walk over to a coffee shop. So we're aggressively, I can't promise, but we're aggressively negotiating with Starbucks for that location. How many would be excited about Starbucks in here? Okay. How many say no to Starbucks? Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3. You know Starbucks. What would you prefer? What kind of coffee? Dutch Brothers? Yes. Okay. But a Panera. We're actually working with a sandwich shop as well, but nothing is concrete yet. These deals take a long time to manifest and put together. But that's for that building right there, if we can get the approvals through the city. It may go there or up in this location. Question, yes?
On your denser housing there, is that an apartment complex?
These are apartment complex, correct. And I'll show you a picture of what that could look like. So that's the canvas. That's our. Yes. But we've been talking about it for 2 years. Yes. Yeah. I'm going to show you a picture of what that could look like. Wow, the renderings, something's wrong with the color because this is not doing it justice. So to see what that could look like, our Millbrook and Nees, which is a project we just opened up. That same product we're looking at building out at. Yeah, something's wrong with the. Is it us? This is in the quality we expect. So this is zone multifamily, and yeah, it's part of the city's plan, part of our plan. And the question is, if you go back to this area, who would you want to live right next door to Starbucks? Yeah. Would,
My boyfriend would.
okay. But, so we have to have a buffer of some kind. And I don't know what the rents will be here, so do not quote me, whoever's recording this. But the rents of these units at our Millbrook and Nees, one bedroom is about $1,400 a month. Two bed. But it can't be, I mean, we have, it has to be market rate, right? These are one bedroom, by the way, one bedroom units. I don't know yet. No, correct. That hasn't come to your committee. Correct. And we know now. We know that the city wants a mix of housing in all the neighborhoods. So it's going to be a combination. We can't just say make it very high-end, folks. So I don't know what the qualification is going to be for. For the.
So how many units is it going to be?
90, approximately 90 units, 90 plus or minus. From where? Yeah, so this is Princeton. It's on the corner of Princeton and Fowler. It backs into Fowler, right in that empty field. They will look gorgeous. I mean, we don't build. I mean, you know what we build. So, can we get our website up? Our Belterra. I'm sorry, the Brookside Villas. I'm sorry. Correct. That's the gated community. This is all commercial. We don't have a tenant for that yet. A little over 90.
Last year when we were here, that big white used commercial area, you said was going to be also canvas, so that's going to be commercial?
What last year we talked about, the multifamily was going to go into this area. The commercial was going to come down. And the feedback we got from you said, try to limit the multifamily down here and leave the commercial. So that's actually what we've done. All of this is zoned commercial, and this is zoned multifamily. So actually, we're not changing it. We were looking at changing making the multifamily come up to here, and then leaving just this as commercial. And then a lot of you guys said, hey, just keep all of this as commercial. And by the way, we don't know what commercial could go back there. Most commercial, they want visibility from the road, right, from Fowler or Shields. So. But we don't know what's going to happen to that. No, there's a grocery store up the street. Grocery stores they need about a 10-acre site to go into, and that's about 6 acres. Originally, it was, years ago, there was what was the store? Not Vaughn's. No, it wasn't. Somebody was going to go in there. Oops. There was some grocery store that was going to go in there, but they backed out. No liquor stores. No liquor stores. No, we don't do liquor stores. How many would want to see like a Me and Ants type? No? Pizzas?
Ashland and Fowler.
Okay. You have the Chicos. Yeah. So we're working on a sandwich shop and Starbucks right now. And of course, the more, and here you know how commercial and retail and restaurants work. The more residential, the more folks live here, the more opportunity we have to attract restaurants to this neighborhood. So, nightclub. Who said nightclub? We don't have enough residents here for a nightclub. What else do we have? Unfortunately, you can't see the pictures of our Brookside Villas apartments at Millbrook and Nees, but you have everybody's email address?
Yes.
Okay. We can send you guys an email on what that looks like. We talked about this. Home for the holidays. I think that's Vic. Oh. Oh, no, you guys want a new screen, or shall we just plow through this? Plow. No screen, let's just plow. Do you have any I need to leave in like 10 minutes. Do you have any questions for me? Yes.
Are you gonna build behind the Belterras? So they're on Laverne, you've got that field.
Let's go back to this.
Doris, she's right on the back side of 6030 right now. We have all that land. Yeah, Patty, we're gonna start developing.
Which one? You live like here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that farm behind us?
The vineyard.
Oh, got it. Yes. Okay, you live in this area? Yeah, this is the last 20 acres that's going to design next year sometime and get developed probably 2 years from now. We just ended up buying that piece, the last 12 acres. I'm sorry.
That ranch is purchased?
Just is it a vineyard right now? I think it is, yeah. So yes, that's the last piece that we didn't own. We just recently purchased that. So it'll be all Granville type product.
Last year, when you were here, you were talking about possibly a car wash going in.
Yes, that backed out. Unfortunately, with retail or commercial, until you have a deal signed and a hard deposit, yes, we had a car wash that was looking at going in right on that corner.
Well, speaking of the commercial, is something ever going to be done about the no man's land on the strip between Taco Bell and the dollar store? I mean, you've got weeds that are tall as some of these children in here over there.
You know, that's a really good question. Unfortunately, we don't. Those are sold. That's sold to Taco Bell. You talking in that area?
Yeah, there's a strip in the median.
Oh, on Fowler.
On Fowler, and the weeds it's like the gardeners compete, there's a whole strip that doesn't get mowed or anything.
This is on in the median island on Fowler?
It's on the island.
Next to, got it. Is there anybody from Council Member Capriolio here tonight? I think he was going to be here, but he could we make some notes? And by the way, it becomes a lot more effective when you email his office. We'll give you the contact information.
So that's not you, that's
That's the city of Fresno.
Yeah, so I can add to that. That's one of the things that is laid out in the presentation. The Fresno app is really, really great for that. So if you shoot a photo of that, the benefit of using that versus calling them is that it'll log it, and then someone always replies, and they'll actually track the status of your claim. So for things like that, for water running, for sprinklers out in the city, for things like graffiti,
for all the big trucks trucked around.
for those, if they're a code violation, you can report it on there, and at least you get
Well,
some.
they're all in that lot, that vacant lot, they just park there.
Absolutely. So that's where that.
I mean, they used to park over here before you started developing.
100%, and that's where that app is really empowering, is it allows us to shoot a photo, report it directly to the city, you get a receipt, and it actually will tell you who reviewed it at the city of Fresno. It's called Fresno.
That's Granville property, isn't it?
This is.
Yeah, that's where they're parked.
Yeah, the park right there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so perfect.
They park on Bliss. Is that what you're saying? Oh, on the lot? Oh, right here? You mean like big semis parked there?
Right by sometimes there's 4 or 5 of them there.
Okay, no, that's our property. So thanks for letting us know. If you, can you alert either sales or customer service next time you guys see a truck there?
Send pictures, and I think we need to put signs, because I've actually put my own little trespassing sign on.
Thank you.
On your area, on the
Okay.
right side of the fence, but
Got it.
I think, and the cones aren't, sometimes they're moved, and people just park their sign, and it might be residents, but, it's kind of off-putting.
Are they semi trucks or just a?
Big garbage trucks, they're right, or they're off-roading, and they're right next to our bedroom, bathroom window, so it's kind of.
Got it. Thank you for letting us know. No, yeah, exactly. We don't want them there either. Exactly.
Real quick, Ken, we started an email a while back about things we'd like to see built in the Belterra community, gyms or other stuff. What was the outcome of that?
One more time, can you repeat that?
You sent out a questionnaire called
Oh,
what would you like to see built in the area, like a gym?
Gym, yes.
Or a jacuzzi, or a dance club, or a nice bar, or a...
You mean for the commercial? Okay.
So, whenever came that, or anything you plan on?
I think, is that, you have that information? The survey, the survey that we sent out, does Katie have it?
What we want to see in the area?
Right.
Oh, yes, yes.
We have it.
Yeah, yes.
So I think if I remember correctly, I think number one was restaurant, coffee shop. I think number two, followed by, was a gym. Can we pull?
Yeah, I'd have to go back.
How many would want a gym for, as number one choice? Okay. How many would want a coffee shop or a restaurant as number one choice? Almost everybody. Okay. So if we had a coffee shop and a gym, that would be fantastic.
But not
Not a big gym?
a big gym, more like a bar.
Small gym. How many want a big gym? How many? I'm sorry?
How many will actually use the gym?
How many actually will use a gym? If you would? Water aerobics, a gym with water, okay. We are talking to a gym operator as well, but we're not sure where that's going to go.
You said no grocery, but what about small, like Trader Joe's?
We would love, Trader Joe's is so hard to get. Trader Joe's is very, yeah. We're working with two different brokers to go after, eateries, small restaurants, stuff that will actually help, make your neighborhood more walkable. So you can, you're home, you have two gorgeous parks now, and you can walk over to. Ideally, it becomes a grocery store. You can just walk to the grocery store. It's going to be very difficult to get one here because of the Vons at Ashland.
Or even just like a Rite Aid or Walgreens. I know the Dollar Tree used to be a Walgreens.
That's right.
But it would be nice to have that, something like
It would be. I would love to have something like that. Yes. Yogurt. Okay, let's actually write that down. How many would want a yogurt place? Ampersand. And Mad Duck. Yes? How many would want an ampersand and a Mad Duck? Mad Duck is a local brewery restaurant. They're fantastic, by the way. Winery. Now we're getting carried away. How many would want a winery? Hey, we have the grapes. There we go. Can harvest the grapes and go into a winery right next door. I'm sorry, a Pinot? Granville Pinot Noir, yes. Almost, actually, all of our multifamily is gated.
So it's gated, and so there's parking structures within that are covered?
Yes,
And
correct.
so one concern would be safety on that for kids on that street, because there are a lot of, and the way the traffic, I guess, doesn't know that, so I don't know. Because the only entrance would be that,
Off of Princeton. One or two on Princeton. I can't remember. There'll be one entrance, two exits. One entrance, two exits. Again, if you're in Northeast Fresno, Millbrook, and Nees, take a look at that complex. It just finished about April of this year. Brookside, yes, that's right, Brookside Villas. Do you like it? Architecture? What is that? Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah, it's in my opinion, at least, turned out very attractive. Yes.
I also know from the last meeting, I don't know how many people might have been from the last two, but we were also speaking about how crowded the school already is and how 90 units is going to be a negative impact. And we suggested at the other meeting that you look into a plus 55 community for the rentals. Has that made any progress, or is that?
No, those are very risky. We've looked at plus 55 housing. We've looked at plus 55 for rent. Those are very low demand, unfortunately, for those.
Because I know my mother-in-law, we were looking for a place for her about 2 years ago. This that's over a year and a half on the one that's over, because there's one on Willow and Alluvial, and we just got called after 2 years that they have a place.
If you can share the name of the operator with us, so here's the challenge. We've looked at doing semi-assisted living, senior living, that's senior living, and about 2 years ago, we did a lot of research. We hired a consultant to look at all the properties we own, from Copper River Ranch to Belterra to our North Clovis. The challenge becomes most of those communities, you need to have healthcare providers that are close by. So even Copper River Ranch, we couldn't make that work. There was enough demand for like 30 units or 35 units, but not for, I think the project we were looking at was 70 units. So there may be some demand, but if you don't have enough healthcare providers close by, we won't be able to fill up 90 units or 92 units. And by the way, I don't know what the mortgage payments are at Canvas. I think we have one of our staff that lives there. But a typical mortgage at Canvas is about $1,500 to $1,800 a month. 2,000, 1,900. It's too much. Okay, we're going to try to lower that. And with today's interest rates, by the way, that's still with today's numbers, right? 18 to. So the city of Fresno's new growth development, which is going to be about a mile east of us. This is in the area called Sega, Southeast Growth Area. You're going to start hearing about that in the news. Please pay attention to it. Not that, you guys live here already, but for new residents that are going to be moving into those neighborhoods, again, Locan and Shields area. To get those projects approved, they are looking for a mixed income developments. This is something that's coming down from Sacramento. You see it in Bay Area, and we're going to need your help. Although it doesn't impact your neighborhood, but that's something that's coming down the pipeline to City of Fresno and eventually City of Clovis. So be on the lookout in the news on information about mixed income housing. So it's going to impact the way builders are going to develop and build in the years to come in Fresno and eventually Clovis. It won't impact this. It's all the new growth areas, which is about a mile east of us. The term that's used is called inclusionary zoning. So we've tried to fight that off over the last few years in current neighborhoods, but eventually it's going to happen. And at some point it's going to become state law. So there's a new state law that I think just passed yesterday that caps rent increases. Did anybody hear about that? Yeah, 5%. So it's an effort to make have more affordable housing available in California. So you're going to see a lot more legislation come down the pipeline in the next few.
So this is visionary home that people more apartments?
Section 8.
No, it's not really. No, it's not Section 8. But it says, and to be determined by your city council. So, there's a vote coming up next March for your city council. You want to probably ask your candidate that question. Do you support inclusionary housing or no? There's several people that are going to be running for office in this area. Oh, there he is, Nathan. I know. Actually, he can probably tell us a lot better about inclusionary zoning. What it means, again, in new areas, not in your neighborhood, is if you're building 100 units, some percentage of that, either 10 or 20% of that, has to be for a medium income family. Medium income family in Fresno, to be determined. household income of about $50,000 to $55,000 a year, which translates to a home price of about maximum of about $250,000 to $270,000. It could be anything. You have that your maximum qualifying income is going to be X.
Where are the chances of Belterra becoming gated?
It's up to you guys. I know this came up last time also. Those of you that somebody needs to organize that activity. I think it's Vic can help answer that question. I think it's 100%. So 100% of the residents need to sign a petition and then go through the process, and we'd be glad to help you with that. Yes, because and then you have to develop your own restrictions. And the issue is always this: you have less traffic in gated neighborhoods, but also there's more restrictions. And then there's a board, usually a 5-member board of you guys, and then you will decide what the restrictions are. And we have multiple gated neighborhoods. It's always contentious because somebody doesn't want parking on the driveway, somebody does. Somebody doesn't want, cars on the street, other folks do. I mean, it's... Yes, and typically they're about $100 to $120 a month. Canvas is, how much is Canvas? 100 HOA? 103. Okay, oh, thank you.
You then have to pay also for the infrastructure, right, for like the repaving of roads and those things.
The 103 goes into a pot. Majority of that is for a reserve that eventually repairs, does a street light, sidewalk, road bit repairs. Yes, I mean it's not cheap. And then you got to build a gate. Gates and entry monumentations cost $25,000 to $40,000. If there's no other questions for me, last question. The what? Homing pigeons. Those are, I think, Central Intelligence. Have you seen the chips or they're actually drones with a small camera? I think those are Ashley's. Maybe Ashley can help address that question.
What would you like to know? How to get rid of them?
Yeah, I put the data on my solar, and it's still.
Solar netting helps.
No, it don't.
It helps them from going under, but not on top.
I'm going to give this to you.
Right.
I'm going to give this to you. Thank you again for your business. We appreciate you as homeowners. We want to be good neighbors with you. And hi, good evening. And we hope to build some very cool-looking commercial on Fowler that will help add more value and more livability to Belterra, and go from there. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Ashley.
Thank you. Okay, back to the birds. Okay, there are many different ways to get rid of them. It's just a matter of what works best, right? So you have the pigeon spikes that we've all seen. That's an option. There's like a mastic tar material a roofer can apply. It's called hot feet. They don't like it when it sticks to that. I've heard recently from other neighborhoods, because birds is not just in this area. They migrate in Copper River now. 5 years ago, they were not there. Now they're there today. So it just depends on the area. I live in La Ventana, Grantland and Bullard, and we have orchards. Same thing over there. So recently, I've heard there is LED strip lighting that can be placed on the roof as well. And it's very small, but they don't like the flashing lights.
I've also heard if you throw rubber snakes up on your roof,
Okay.
pigeons don't like those, but they might disappear when the hawks come around.
Yeah. Have you heard the high-pitched squealing sounds at Edwards or any other large public area? You may or may not have noticed that. That's mimicking hawk sounds, which they stay away from that as well.
I was told you guys were going to see where somebody is.
They don't work long term.
Okay. So these are options that you have. Of course, has anybody consulted with the pest control company?
Yeah, they said
We did for my daughter,
Okay.
in San Joaquin Valley, said basically you have two options. You can put spikes all over, or you can put poison out.
Okay.
If you put the poison out, you're gonna get every bird in the country coming to your house for a while.
Yeah.
Because they first start with regular corn, and then after they get used to feeding, then they taint it with poison. Poison is not supposed to kill them, it's supposed to give them an LSD trip, and they don't want to come back.
Okay.
So I will tell you this, because I work at the Gap Distribution Center, and they are horrendous over there.
Yeah.
The noise doesn't work.
Doesn't.
After a while, they get used to that, they come back. We had the hawks out there, we had the owls out there. None of those solutions work. You're gonna waste your money. So basically what we did with my daughter's house is spikes.
Okay.
You know, and it doesn't look that great, but it's a lot better than pigeon crap all.
Yeah, I've seen that. Anything else on that? No? Did you have a question? But if you like them, I know that's always the challenge. I've heard of homeowners say, hey, we want a more humane way of dealing with it. Well, you know, you pick and choose your battles. I don't eat pigeons, so I don't know.
there's a third option that the company told us, that you can buy, instead of the LSD trip food, you can buy food that makes them infertile so that they would just die.
That's smart.
That's a very long process though.
Yeah, you have to feed them for quite a while.
And I don't know if I would want to feed them and have them come to my house. So one last question on this.
I didn't mean by like I want them to go away, but I like them. I meant like I want them to stay because I like them.
You have a good heart. Okay. And home for the holidays, Victor. Anything else or maintenance on the home? Questions? No? Okay.
Window wizard will help get all the birds.
So, sorry, what, the wasp? It is the season for wasp nests, yes. Okay, so I have a girlfriend.
FID doesn't come out here, but we pay taxes to FID,
Uh-huh.
and their wasps is one of the things they're supposed to be controlling.
Okay, is that something you can type an email to your council member?
You can also do it on the Fresno app.
Okay, so City of Fresno? Okay, okay.
And everybody that's over there has to pay Fresno Irrigation District.
So my experience is when you open the floodgates by emailing and calling as a community, it's the squeaky wheel. Okay? If we sit here and we say nothing, then we're not going to receive the attention.
And the city can liaison with FID, so submit it on Fresno.
There you go.
And if the city itself doesn't do it, they can liaison with FID and make it happen.
So we'll go over that today, but there's also handouts here where you can easily just scan and you'll upload the app. Okay, and WAS, okay, back to that. I do have a girlfriend that lives in Belterra, 6110. Her pest control company, that's included in her fee that she pays monthly. So some do include that. Look into that.
Okay, Fresgo app, talked a little bit about this earlier. Definitely download it if you don't have it on your phone. Fresgo in the App Store. I use it all the time. One of the best things is for the graffiti abatement. I shoot photos of this, send it over. It gets taken care of right away. Oh, thank you. So definitely download it if you don't have it already. Next one. Okay, yeah, basically how the workflow goes. Yes, free for all. Actually, do you want to speak on this a little bit?
So if you haven't heard yet, we Granville Homes is sponsoring a free-for-all at Fresno Humane Animal Services. So for the entire month of September, we're paying all the adoption fees for all the pets that are adopted at Fresno Humane. So that includes dogs and cats. And the only stipulation is they have to be over 6 months of age. We want to get those, hard to adopt pets into a home. So so stop by there and, let your friends and family know if they're looking for a furry friend that we're doing this for the whole month of September. Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you. And then your council member, for those who want to write that name down, just right there, or shoot a photo of it with your phone. That's how I take notes now. Alrighty, everyone good? Alrighty. Oh, There we go. And with that, I will turn it over to the Fresno Police Department for public safety updates. Deserves a round of applause. There we go.
All right, so Lieutenant Navarro's had to take off. I'm Sergeant David Selecki. I work the Southeast District, and the Southeast District obviously encompasses you guys out here. There's been some questions already about response time, so let me address that right now as we go through the response time issue. We are currently building, and we'll have our building finished around April, and it's over at Argyle and Beck. So that's much closer. It'll centralize us more. It'll bring us, since the 80s, we've been at Cedar and Butler, and now this will push us really east. And we know all the development is headed east. It's a race between Fresno and Clovis to see who can get to Sanger first. So with us moving over there, which is around Kings Canyon and Clovis, it's just east of that if you're not familiar with where Argyle and Beck is. But that will centralize us more. I had some slides, but I mean, we can go through them a little bit real quick if you want. You can hit the couple of slides we have. What it does show up there, we won't go over it because that's not good. Your area is right up there where it says aggravated assault. I see one dot up in that area. We'll move to the next one. Burglary, homes, and vehicles. There's 2 dots, maybe a third one up there. Can't tell, it's all washed out. But if you look at that area and then you compare it to what the east or the west portion of southeast looks like, you guys have a pretty decent area or neighborhood that you're in. Go to thefts. It adds 4 more, but you can also see what the rest of our district looks like. So we are out by the word larceny right now. So again, that kind of gives you an idea of what crime's like in your area. The more crime that we talk about, larcenies, burglaries, those things, those are the ones that affect you guys, right? Aggravated assaults, you saw there was like 1 dot. It was probably more by where the airport is. So those are the things that we look for. Those are the things that we try and address, and I think with our moving of the district station to that area, it'll more centralize us. We'll finally be in the middle of the district, so our response times will go down for those other things.
Is there any routine patrolling that happens in our?
Pardon me?
Are there any routine patrols that happen?
Absolutely there is. We have the Baker Beat, you can't see it, but that's what's up here. We staff that. There's someone staffed there on our day shift, laps, swings, and mids. Because it is so far out, we always keep that staffed. We have someone out there. Surprisingly enough, it's one of the ones that stays staffed, even though there's not much there, because of the distance it takes to get out there. So they do get pulled in to where all the dots are, but they try and keep going back out.
Was it further success about the theft of Granville house that tried to wrap for about 4 or 5 minutes?
Was there any success? Yeah. We had some leads we followed up on, but nothing really panned out. We assume, again, just an assumption on our part, that everything went out of town. We checked Facebook, we checked Craigslist, we checked OfferUp. Nothing matched anything. So we assumed that it went out of town once it got published. I know you guys put something out, we put something out. And the minute the bad guys see that, they duck their heads and run. So. And robbery, again, there's like 1 dot, it's again by the airport, so really I think that's further south than you guys and further west. So, any other questions?
Yeah.
Shoot.
That area that's the commercial zone is slated for, I think we brought it up that there is, semis parking there and other people just kind of staying up there overnight. There was a fire of a big rig. I don't know if there was now an arson event or what was the story there? You guys?
How long ago was it?
A month ago. 3 weeks ago.
So it didn't pop up on anything that I read as it being an arson, so I'm not sure.
Sheriff's Department came out.
Sure, that's why I didn't know about it.
I couldn't hear.
She said Sheriff's Department came out.
Sheriff and Highway Patrol came out.
Okay.
So that's
there was
why.
somebody in our neighborhood that did it.
That's why I didn't know about it.
So will there be more policing of that, commercial yard? Because I'm looking at it. So
Right.
I see all those big rigs. They stay overnight.
Here's the deal. We need to get a letter on file that allows us to cite and remove people from private property. And the only way to do that is with you guys and these people over here. Once that's done, then we have the ability to enforce certain zones or certain things on private property, to include citing. But as it stands now, it's not our property, it's not something that we can take care of until we are allowed by, if someone from here will come and dummy cite a citation that we put on it. Once you cite those big rigs a couple times, they move. So.
He was parked on a city street.
Okay.
That particular one that caught fire.
Okay.
And it looked like he was sleeping in the rig with the generator running in the sleeper.
Okay.
And the generator seemed to catch fire.
All right, but obviously county came out for it, so that makes it a little difficult for me to understand or to see it and to adjust things to it.
Wasn't that street owned by Granville though?
I don't think the streets aren't owned by them, they're owned by, well, the city, so. Yes, everybody here. My POP officer is the one that deals with things that aren't conventionally criminal activity. If you have, there's a couple we talked about, the Fresno app, if there's trash, if there's tires, those things we can get. But if we get calls from service, multiple calls from service from a house, from an apartment or something like that, that's where my POP officer comes in. We scan calls for service all the time to see what, if they start increasing, we find out why. There's certain things that we don't address through the non-traditional policing, but there are a lot that we can. And it doesn't have to always be criminal for us to come out. So and it is a long-term process, we, with help of you guys, can deal with non-criminal things in a different way.
So if they put up a no trespassing sign, then you can cite the semis?
We need to get a letter on file that allows us to operate on their behalf, that says they will come, and if it ends up going to court, that they will go to court. Otherwise, we can't do it.
There's already a no trespass sign there.
Yeah, but for us to enforce and start doing that, we need that letter.
Yeah, but I'm saying, the little yellow one? Yeah.
Okay, so, any other questions? I know that the janitor wants to lock up.
So real quick, someone just said that there's already a no trespassing sign. Wouldn't that mean that that letter's already in?
Nope.
She did sign it.
Hold on just a second, listen.
The no trespassing sign is a letter that the property owner authorizes, signs it, authorizes the law enforcement in order to give a citation. And then it's not just any no trespassing sign. In that packet, it explains to the property owner the verbiage and the size of the letter that they have to put up. It has to meet a certain criteria. So if you go to Home Depot and you buy a little sign that says no trespassing, it doesn't meet the city's criteria for that. So in addition to the posting, we also need that permission slip, basically.
Okay, so easy, no track, so just the developer needs to send a couple letters regarding the undeveloped tracts.
Right, and what we can do is we can get together with them and get them, because it has to be specific for the address. Everything, it's very specific because we're starting to do something on their behalf, which makes it a very strict and very narrow thing. But my POP officer can get with them and we can take care of that.
So when do we think we'll get that letter? Because that semi was right at our window, looking right in our bathroom. And the cops came out and they said they couldn't do anything about it.
Right. For the one that was parked on the street?
What?
For the one that was parked on the street?
No, this was
on your property.
On the property on the lot.
Got it. Yeah, no, we'll write that. We don't want them on our property either. It's a liability.
But then you need to write a letter, so how soon are you gonna write that letter?
We have the letter.
I haven't gone to a computer.
We have the letter, it's blank, they just sign it, but they have to get the signage. So we have a form letter, so they don't even have to write the letter.
So that's already processed?
No. They don't have to write it, we got it done.
Granville's on notice what they need to do.
Right.
So let's move on.
We just did perfect.
No, he was asking how long it would
Yeah,
take.
it depends on the emails back and forth and how long it takes them to get what the city considers a proper sign for no trespassing. That's the issue. You have one? I think here, if I'm not mistaken, you're allowed one every 6 months. Not 100% sure though. That's a code violation, something different than what we deal with. Okay. But I think it's one every 6 months. Good question. I like it.
I'm not sure if it's you or Granville or Capillary's office, but what is the update on Olive and Power? The intersection, the widening of the intersection and putting in the light.
I was here a couple years ago. That's a sore subject, right?
Yes.
I don't have to deal with that. That's traffic engineering.
Yes, that's a good question. I can go ahead and check up on that. From the last time, I remember when we were here, there was a county and city sort of not dispute. Sure. Selfishly, if that was fixed, it would help me sell more homes. So I want it about as bad as you do. Trust me. But we can go ahead and poke. That's actually we will follow up with that. If we can make a note of that, we can send an email to Paul to see if there's any update on that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Any last questions? This is totally not traffic engineering. Anything else? Okay. So
on the backside by that Tactical Ops Brewery, there are a couple of squatters there sometimes. You'll see their tents, and there's a couple people who will, crash there. It's off of Belterra's property. Is there anything that...
I'll try to sell them a house if I can. It sounds like they need one.
Actually, they've been there for 3 years, so good luck.
Inclusionary. They'll probably have to evict it. I'm not
Is
sure.
there a process to kind of,
Right. I'm not sure whose property it is. Again, let's start when we start talking about private property versus public property versus what we can do and what we can't do. So I'd have to take a look at it.
Are they on the street or on the property?
No, it's right behind our gated community, the wall. There's that brewery. There's there's
The
Tesla building is kind of in that direction.
All right. So anything else?
Yeah, that we don't own, so I'm not sure, but it sounds like it'd be the same process as.
Yeah, but their little tents are against the Belterra wall, so.
All right. So 621-7000 is the dispatch non-emergency line. Tell them you're in Southeast, and if it's something that's not criminal but that we can address, it'll get to my cop detective. Anything else, obviously 911, right? We definitely want to make sure we do that. But again, it should be into April, we're going to move into our new place. So that should be nice, and that should help response times a little bit. But also understand that the dots that I showed, we kind of drift that way. But at least if someone's coming right out of the station, it's not all the way across Southeast to get to you guys. Okay?
Good job.
Good job. I do want to applaud you for your response to it. It's been great. Your team is great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alrighty, with that, we'll bring up Randy Reed real quick.
Thanks, Vic. I do want to thank you all for your time and attention this evening and your participation. My name is Randy Reed. I'm with gvwire.com. Has anyone in the room heard of gvwire.com? A couple of you? Great. Thank you. For those of you who have not, we are the Central Valley's fastest growing online news source. You can find us online at gvwire.com. And as Darius was mentioning earlier, the issues that are going to affect you down the line, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, are the issues that you really should be paying attention to so that you can participate in those decisions that are going to have an impact on you and your family and your neighborhood. He mentioned the Southeast growth area and the development that's happening there. He mentioned things that are happening on the statewide level, rent caps and zoning regulations and those kinds of things. And those are the stories that are GV Wire's stock and trade. Those are the things that we cover very carefully and closely and explain in a way that makes it very easy for you to understand if you're not an expert in those subjects, and helps you participate in the decisions that are being made. You probably also know that you have an election coming up very soon. One of the candidates for District 4, Nathan Alonso, is here in the room tonight, but you've got other candidates as well. There's Nathan in the back if you haven't seen him. Other candidates as well, and we're going to be covering that race and that election very, very closely. So we'd really encourage you to check in to gvwire.com. Keep an eye on us. There are no paywalls. We're totally free online. There's no paywalls. There's no paid subscription. But you can, if you wish to, subscribe to our morning newsletter. Comes via email every morning around 6 a.m. Lists the top 4 or 5 stories that we've covered in the day before. And it's a good way to just kind of quickly see what's happening in the community that could have an impact on your life and your family and your neighborhood. And then if you choose to read more, just click on the link and it'll take you right to GV Wire where you can read the rest of the story. So I encourage you to do that, and to incentivize you a little bit, if you haven't already filled out one of these forms tonight, we encourage you to do that as well. It's just a subscription form for the morning newsletter. If you fill this out in the next few minutes, we're going to put your card in the hopper there, and we're going to have a drawing just very shortly for a $50 gift certificate. So we really encourage you to sample gvwire.com. So again, thanks for your attention this evening, and we'll turn this over now back to, who's it going to? To Vic. All right. There you go, sir.
Thank you, Randy. All righty, and actually, before we wrap up here, Nathan, is there anything you'd like to address maybe with the crowd? Or an introduction? Yeah.
Sure. More than can you guys hear me without the microphone? Yes. No? Yes.
It's super easy to use.
All right, I'll use the microphone.
I was raised on a farm, so I'm used to yelling in big spaces. But my name is Nathan Alonso. I'm running to represent us here in East Central Fresno. I was actually a neighbor here for a very long time. I lived in the Woodside development for about 5-6 years. Now I'm over on Cedar and Maple. The district, pretty much a little bit geographically, it runs on the western portion of it from Bullard and Blackstone all the way down to about Belmont Avenue. So Blackstone to Willow, Bullard down to Belmont, and here on the eastern portion it is Ashland, right here where the canal is, all the way down to Olive, from Clovis Avenue all the way out to Locan. So we're in the eastern portion of the district here. Like I said, I've been a neighbor for a long time. I've had an opportunity to, have some pretty good experience. I've been in the private sector for most of my career, have ran the office for a state senator, and currently work in a family-owned company. I actually sit on one of Councilman Capriolio's committees, and I'm intricately involved in a lot of the work that's happening here. Somebody asked a question about the intersection on Olive and Temperance, right? Olive and Fowler. So the Olive and Fowler one was actually held up because of the county's general plan process, and now that they've passed their budget, I understand that it's supposed to be. Yeah, now that they're going through the budget process, it's supposed to be getting appropriated to be happening within the next, again, 12 to 18 months. And we've been hearing 12 to 18 months for a very long time, and it's very frustrating because we're about to see another 349 home development go up right here on Shields and Temperance, the new Lennar development. And there is the Century development happening, and there's going to be more development happening down there. So infrastructurally, we're extremely stressed here on the eastern portion of the district. And that is actually my number one priority is when it comes to neighborhood infrastructure. Out here, we're suffering. We don't have enough retail. We don't have adequate roads. We're one of the last people to go through the LED transformation as far as the lights go. And it's inexcusable that those of you who have made a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 investment in a home aren't getting the city's end of the bargain. They're not fulfilling their obligation. So that's going to be one of my issues. My second issue is the public safety issue. We need additional brick and mortar when it comes to fire as well, not just police. Response times, you've got mutual aid out of Clovis, you've got CAL FIRE mutual aid, and then you've got police station or fire substations at the airport and then in Southeast Fresno. We need one here because of how fast we're growing. It's planned, but it's not happening fast enough. It's one of those things. Another big issue that I'm sure that you've all heard of and was talked about when you bought your homes was that we're going to have a neighborhood park. So where the Lennar development's going, there was supposed to be a 9-acre neighborhood park per the general plan. Now it's going to become another pocket park. It's something that a lot of the folks in the Woodside community and some of the folks in Belterra have reached out to me personally about. So we are talking to the developer that's putting up the new development there on Shields and Temperance and saying, hey, it can't just be another pocket park. We need a bigger park for the amount of growth that's happening here. We need adequate infrastructure, and that includes green space. So there is that happening. The election is in March. I have had the great opportunity to walk your guys' neighborhood a couple of times. I'm sure that I've talked to a lot of you guys at your door. I look forward to doing that again another couple of times before March. But more than anything, I want to just put it out there. If you have any questions about the city, Paul wanted to be here, couldn't be here. But if there's something city-wise that you have a question about or something that you want to see or questions about me in general, I'd love to open it up to you.
I do have a question, because we were told a time or two ago, I don't really remember which one was Darius was here, about how much money they have to pay to the city for each house that they develop in this area. So the new home constructions are just in very pocketed areas, of which this is one. So why is the city not allocating our dollars, or the dollars that are being paid for these houses, to build in that type of infrastructure you're saying we're lacking?
I don't know that it goes into somewhere geographically specific is the problem.
But the thing is that it's geographically specific where you're getting the revenue.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that if...
should be the infrastructure sources that they're paying for is these types of facilities. And so if the city is not using these resources wisely with the general fund money, then that needs to be addressed.
No, and I agree with you, because if you are paying your property taxes, if you're paying sales tax out here, if you are contributing out here, you should get adequate infrastructure that reflects your level of investment. So it's something that I want to fight for on your behalf.
Because I don't think they're having that same problem in their development on the top of the river. They have adequate safety resources staff, because we used to live by there. They're a lot better developed out there than they are here as far as resources. But everybody in this room has had to pay, or they pay through the purchase of the home, because that's part of what was put into the price. So, and from what he says, this isn't a cheap amount that they're having to pay the city.
No, and that's up to us working together to, lobby and make sure that we're getting the adequate infrastructure and the adequate investment out here. And that's what we're going to have to partner on. Is we're going to have to be loud, and we're going to have to be in their face about making sure that our area is being taken care of, like so many other parts of town are. We're not going to let this new, pristine, beautiful area that you've invested your money into become part of forgotten Fresno. I mean, that's not what I'm about. That's not what we're going to be about. Any other questions from our neighbors? Darius will be back, and you can talk to him more about that. Go ahead in the back. That what? Oh, Nathan Alonso. But going back, Darius said that he doesn't know what the rates are going to be on the apartments yet. These are luxury apartments. They're some of the nicest in the community. So I'm sure that Granville sales agents are available nearby. Yes, ma'am. Welcome. We are District 4. We are what they call East Central Fresno. All right. Anything else from the neighbors? All right. In the words of Mr. Rogers, we'll see you around the neighborhood.
Thank you, Nathan. All righty. Real quick, right before we wrap up, there was a phone that was found in the bathroom. If you're missing a phone, come see us afterwards. And for those who had questions for me specifically or a couple comments, come up and see me. But on behalf of Granville Homes, thank you very much for your business, for those who have bought from us. And for those who haven't, hopefully. Oh, we're going to do the raffle. Oh, gosh. Okay, so we're not done yet. Yes.
Congratulations. All right, guys, thank you very much for coming out tonight.